Now, you have heard our NTU President and our MBS Dean give you overviews of NTU and MBS. And I'm sure you have many questions that you would like to ask about the kind of experiences you can look forward to in NBS. So let me jump straight into our plenary session and do again just a very quick introduction of who is seated here. Just now, our Dean has already mentioned the personalities who will be here. Let me give faces to those personalities. So as you know, I've already introduced myself, and this is our Dean that you've just met next to me. And next to Prof. So, our Dean, is Mr. James Lim, who is our alumni from 2017, is that right? Class of 2017, James? You've forgotten? It's been a while. Okay, 2017, trust me. All right, and he's, as Prof. So has said, he is the co-founder and CEO of Helpling. Okay, and next to Mr. James Lim, we have Mr. Lau Jia Tai. And Jia Tai is from the class of 2016, right, Jia Tai? He's more confident as to what year he graduated. Okay, and Jia Tai is also a co-founder of his own business, 3 Dots. As Prof. So mentioned, that's the B2B business. Yeah, and next to Jia Tai, we have Miss Linda Ong, and she is the director of our career services team in NBS. At this point, let me just emphasize and highlight that at NBS, we are quite special because we have our own career services team to see to the career and internship needs of our students. And Linda is the head of that team. Now, this is on top of our NTU Career and Attachment Office, which will also see to the career and internship needs of all NTU students. So basically, as an NBS student, what you will get is you have 2 resources to turn to. Our very own team, which is dedicated specifically to seeing to NBS students' career and internship needs, as well as the NTU CAO office. Okay? And next to Ms. Linda Ong, we have Associate Professor Damien Joseph. And Prof. Damien, he is the Associate Dean for Undergrad Academic, meaning that he's in charge of all undergrad academic matters. Okay, so that's Prof. Damien Joseph. And this is my introduction of the panelists who are physically present. As for those who are zooming in, the 2 alumni who are zooming in from South Korea, we have Kai Ning. Say hi, Kai Ning. Okay, so Kai Ning, as Prof. So has mentioned, she is now a HR partner with Unilever, right? And she is from the class of 2018. And then Mr. Bertrand Wong, he is also from the class of 2018, and he's also in HR. He is now the rewards business partner of Schneider Electric, and both of them are in South Korea. I know many of our audience listening on is probably quite envious. South Korea is by far the favorite destination for all our exchange programs and so on. Okay, so without further ado, let me just jump straight in and ask the questions that you have already. Some of you have already sent in questions via Slido. Okay, let me just take a quick look and okay, let's first kind of answer questions in relation to our curriculum, shall we? Let's talk about curriculum-related matters first. So someone has asked, is your curriculum very rigid? And let me just put up a few kind of related questions as well. Someone has also asked, can I also study psychology if I take business? And let me see any other more kind of related questions. Okay, what about this one? Also quite related. Can accountancy students take a minor? So for that, what I'm going to do is, Damien, you want to tell them about our curriculum, how it's actually very flexible?
Yes, thank you, Kirai. I think in anticipation for this, these types of questions, we have a graphic, right, and that may be flashed on at this moment. Now, our curriculum is flexible and it allows students to pursue their interest. Right? Now, because you're coming in to study a particular program, right, there are some courses curated by the faculty that you will have to go through. And that's typically in your first year and some parts of your second year. But as you progress along, we give you the choices in choosing your specializations, for example. We have a choice of like 7 specializations, from actuarial sciences to banking and finance, right? International trading, risk analytics, business analytics, marketing, human resource consulting. So you have a choice there, right? And when you progress along, right, closer to the end of the program, in your end of second year, the third year, we have a set of courses which we call the broadening and deepening electives. And that's where the most flexibility is offered to you. Using these courses, you can undertake a minor, right? And there are like 43 to 45 minors, right, outside of the business school that you can take. Right? Psychology, if you want, economics, if you want, sustainability that's coming up soon. Right? So these kinds of courses are available, right? And you pursue your passion. Right? If a set of curated courses like a minor is not your thing, right, you have a choice of taking other courses that really interest you. For example, if you like astronomy, for example, there's a course on astronomy. If you want to do languages, right, Japanese, Korean, right, there are courses that you can use these broadening and deepening electives to take. Right? So that's that. In our program, you also have a choice of whether you want to pursue an academic, right, curriculum, which is all the sets of courses that are curated for a particular specialization, for a particular major. Or you can undertake a work-study degree program where you do 1 full semester of internship and get credit for it, right? Without having to extend your degree program, right? So.
Okay, I know Damien thinks that he's now off the hook because he's answered 3 questions, but actually I have just seen in more questions that have come in relating to similar matters. So Damien, you have still a bit more work to do. All right, so someone is asking, can we take a minor in econs or other minors or double degree after we enter our first year? And kind of similar to that, someone has also asked, if I take a double degree in accountancy and business, would I still have the flexibility to study other things too?
Okay, let me take the first question. Right. After your first year, you can elect, right, to read a minor using your broadening and deepening electives. So your minors may be offered to you as you're coming in, or you may elect to read a minor after you get into your university and declare it afterwards. Right? So as long as you take 5 courses that are curated in a particular area, let's say like entrepreneurship, right? We have a minor in entrepreneurship, we do 5 courses, right? You declare that, yes, I have taken these 5 courses, I want to do a minor. Now, it's also possible if you are reading a double degree in accountancy and business. Right? The broadening and deepening electives are also offered to you, and it's part of your curriculum. So you can, without extending your candidature, you can go off and do minors in that as well. Right?
Okay. What about the double degree?
Yeah, double degree
yes.
in accountancy and
yes,
business.
There's someone else who has asked a little bit more about the double degree.
Yes, go ahead.
So one more question, please, Damien. Thank you. So someone has asked, what's the benefit of taking a double degree in accountancy and business as opposed to a double major, for example?
At least in NTU's terminologies, right? The double degree offers you 2 certificates, one for accountancy, the other for business, right? Whereas if you're doing a double major, you get 1 degree certificate, right, that says that you have covered both these particular areas. So we offer you the flexibility, right, of moving between, right, if you want to choose one or the other, or do both, and you get 2 different degrees, right, or just instead of just 1 degree with 2 majors.
Okay. Thank you, Damien. And I think, Chris, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so if I may just add to Damien's very good answer, because I was actually involved in creating many, almost 2 decades ago, the very first double degree in NTU. The question is a good one. Essentially, the double degrees give you 2 full sets of disciplinary depth, right? In accounting, business, or business and computer science. When you do a double major, it is substantive, but clearly it's not quite as much depth because it's not that much as many courses or time. So it's a question of how much time and how deep do you want to go, and that's a choice. I don't think there's a right or wrong. We give you several different options to choose from.
Yes, so you can see flexibility is the key word here. All right, it's really up to you. What do you want? All right, so moving on from that, I'm also going to talk about something to do with curriculum, but this time it's about more specific things in relation to what we teach. And someone is asking, everyone says the world is going tech. Does NBS teach com science subjects like coding? And let me just add one more question there as well, which also kind of relates to coding. And this person says, I'm interested in business analytics and I don't know coding. And I know that for this second question especially, I know it has Damien's heart already because he's our business analytics prof. So Damien, you want to say something about that?
At the Nanyang Business School, we train you in digital skills, right? And our thinking is that the digital skills are an important and critical aspect of your skill set as you go and work, right? And you have, in the course of work, you will be using technologies. Coding is one part of that, right? Digital skills. And it will become very critical as workers go on, as you graduate, move into your role, right? To automate some parts of your work, right? So as we do that, right, it's simple coding. We are not training you to be programmers. We are training you to understand the codes. We are training you to automate the routine parts of your work so that you don't have to keep doing it over and over again. Let a bot take care of it, right? So, and we understand that most students coming in have zero knowledge, but we will train you, right? Within the 13 weeks, right, we have a programming course that will take you from zero knowledge to understanding and helping you, right, use codes to make your work simpler, make your work easier, right? So that you can spend the rest of your time doing more higher value activities.
Okay, thanks, Damien. And I think on this point, I would also like to invite James and JC to share with us their own experience, because as I understand it, your businesses really leverage on the use of technology, right, to make it work. Maybe, James, you want to?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So in the case of Helpling, I think the way we view technology is more of an enabler. It's basically an enabler that allows us to automate a lot of processes, which would then help to lower overheads so that we can actually benefit the blue-collar workers more. So we definitely see technology as an enabler, but is everyone a coder in the company? No. Currently, I would say around 60% of the headcount are basically tech people. So they cover the full spectrum of business intelligence, product management, tech, like really front end and back end work, and even the server work. And then, there's of course the system administrators, basically people who keep the computers running and the servers running, right? So the remaining 40% of them are mainly business people, and they cover, functions like marketing, like ops, like HR, like finance. And do they know how to code? No. But do they understand how the technology works? Yes. Because as you realize that as you step into the world right now, there is no way that you can succeed in any tech company without understanding how the tech works. You could be in finance, and if you have no idea how certain systems work, there's no way you will be able to succeed, because the people who understand it would surpass you in this case. They would surpass you in terms of productivity and effectiveness. And if it's up for promotion, I'm pretty sure that person who is tech enabled in a sense would definitely be the first choice, right? Even for marketing, we rarely do offline channels, so it's mainly online marketing, digital marketing. And that means that even as a marketing manager, you may not know how to do SEM or SEO, but you need to be able to guide the person doing it. Likewise, for a head of operations, you may not know how the back-end software works or how it's built, but you need to be able to understand, certain metrics and how it's being computed by the system, right? So all these definitely come together, and I think moving forward, we will see more companies moving down the tech route. I'm really seeing it with a lot of brick and mortar guys, where the government is just really incentivizing them to adopt technology, which means that there will be greater need for employees with tech know-how and an understanding of how technology works, right? So this is the trend that I'm seeing right now in the market. Yeah, JC.
I think likewise for myself, we are also using tech as more of an enabler than deep tech kind of technology within companies, because we're in food business, right? I think, like what he said is very true. You don't really need to know the in-depth of coding, right? Because I think programming itself is very, very broad. It can go as deep into like code quality, how to write good codes, how to make sure your code doesn't break. But having very basic or introductory knowledge of coding is definitely very useful in the business world. But what's more important is that the coding knowledge comes together with the finance or the business knowledge, because the previous batch of folks that we have, right, like the older guys, they are either the business guys or they are either the tech guys, right? But they don't have the knowledge of both, which makes it very, very challenging for them to perform work, especially business-related stuff. So to us, what we see now is that the real gem out there is really folks that have knowledge in the business, understanding in terms of finance, in terms of accounting, in terms of business processes, how everything works. But at the same time, they have enough knowledge that they can apply to design systems, to automate workflows, to understand where are all the data flowing to. And you don't really need to be able to be the one that is creating it, but you need to be the one that is able to understand how everything goes and come up with ideas to make things work better. And I think that is how, in the future, or rather now, that's what companies are looking for, even for ourselves. These are the gems out there that we are always consistently hunting for, so as to be able to almost double head on the business side, as well as product management, digital transformation kind of role.
Great, thanks so much, Jia Chai and James, for that. And I think that really resonates with what Prof. Damien was saying just now, right? Because really, it's not that everybody needs to go out there and be the creator of technology. It is that you need to be tech-enabled, that you know how to use technology, you understand enough of technology to know how to use it and be able to use that together with your business, your finance, your accounting knowledge to be really, as JC has put it, the gem out there that all companies are looking for. Yeah. All right, great. Anybody has anything else you want to jump in at this point? I mean, I know we're sitting here in the auditorium, but really, we are having a conversation, and anybody's any points that they want to contribute, just feel free. Yeah? Okay. The next thing then, let me talk about, so here we've talked about the digital side of our curriculum. Someone else has talked about the sustainability bit of it. And someone has asked, your website and videos talk a lot about sustainability. Isn't this more relevant for a science program? And for this, I think the best person to handle this would be our dean, because she's really passionate on the concept of sustainability.
Yes, thanks, Kit Wai. So I've become very convicted in the past years because I spend a lot of time interacting with our wonderful alumni on a very regular basis. And that has just, it's become very clear that that's a huge skills gap, and there's such a need for that in companies everywhere. This sustainability in business is going to be the biggest, fastest growing jobs segment going forward, bigger even than digital possibly. Yeah. So if you come to NBS and TU and you get exposed to our interdisciplinarity in terms of digital and sustainability, you are very well positioned. Just to give you a sense, right? Sustainability is understanding sustainability and how it affects your area is flowing through every business function. So in accounting, for example, we are training our people to understand sustainability reporting. If you're in our actual or risk side, we're looking at how to do assessment of sustainability-related risks and the pricing of it. If you're in finance, we have courses in sustainable finance. I was talking to alumni, for them, it's a reality they live every day. If they are working in banks, increasingly they are being pulled into looking at how to structure loan portfolios to help companies in their transition to clean energy, net zero carbon, and all the many unresolved questions that will plague us for decades. How do you track carbon emissions? How do you track and trace? And a lot of this then leads to the technology, because a lot of the monitoring, computing, and so on, as well as some of the solutions about how to reduce and better manage waste, energy, and water are technological issues, which again, turns us back to this idea of entrepreneurship and technopreneurship and innovation in large organizations, right? And for marketing, the whole idea of green marketing also coming to the forefront, because you, particularly your generation, but even for old folks like myself, increasingly we are very concerned about whether the products we are buying have been sustainably sourced. And for any company making a product, most of the products today, the components, the raw materials are coming from so many different countries. To put a sustainability source sticker on your product requires tremendous back-end re-engineering for track and trace and systems in place. And so there's this whole wave that is sweeping for carbon, changing the way businesses are operating, because they have to be accountable to stakeholders, they have to be accountable to people who are lending them money. There are banks out there. Yesterday I had lunch with a banker who said, we have pulled out completely. We are no longer giving loans to anybody who's not, who's in dirty energy. And immediately that has implications for companies and the way that they are operating, right? Yeah. So we are seeing it not just in our curriculum, we see it first always in our research. And that's why I said just now in my little opening speech, I truly believe NBS is the best place for you to learn this, because we are a business school in a tech university, science university. Our faculty have been working on these issues for years with our fellow engineers and scientists. And then it trickles into our programs increasingly. As business recognizes the need, we are well poised to be, launching programs and individual courses in this. Yeah. So this, I'm glad you've asked this. This is something that I think the cohorts coming in now must deeply embrace and be ready for.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, and I think, Jia Cai, again, I want to ask you to share with us some experience of you from your own business, because as I understand it, your business really is in the sustainability space, right?
Yeah, I think the sustainability itself to us is very, very relevant to business side, right? Because let's face the fact that I think everyone recognize and understand the impact that we have done on the planet, right? And that there's a lot more that we need to do. So in terms of a business, sustainability become a core part to it. Whether you are trying to run your own business, you want to get investments, you want to market a product, whatsoever, sustainability is part and parcel of a business now, and it will be even more so in the future. I think Dean spoke about like measuring metrics, understanding how to market a product, making sure that your product sources are sustainable and stuff like that. These are really the parts and parcel of our daily operations. It is things that consumers are looking at now, and in the past, people will be referring to us as, oh, you're a social enterprise that is in sustainability space. But to us, to this group of people, I always tell them, oh, actually there is no difference. I'm just a business that is looking at sustainability more, but in the future, there is no social enterprise for sustainability space. Everyone has to do sustainability one way or another, or the business wouldn't thrive at all. So sustainability till today is still quite a hazy area, and a lot of money is poured into it to understand how to make things better, how to run businesses better, such that all the organization can grow at the same time without hurting the planet. So having this kind of deep knowledge and understanding the sustainability is actually very precious knowledge that in the current market is very, very scarce, to be honest. We paid top dollars for consultants to come and understand the sustainability metrics and measures and how we can do things better, and this is easily in the hundreds of thousands kind of charges. So it's a very, very, despite its good work, it's also a very, very lucrative career, businesses and prospect as well. So sustainability in businesses, in my opinion, is very, very closely linked and will be so.
Thanks so much for that insight, JC. What about the rest of you, the rest of the alumni? James, in your experience as an entrepreneur, or what about Kai Ning and Bertrand in your work with the MNCs there? Anybody has anything to add to that?
Hello. Yeah. So maybe I could add on a bit about the social and ESG, because I think this is something that will also become a lot more prevalent in the future when people start to recognize that blue-collar workers need to be protected, especially in the gig economy. So Helpling started out being very prevalent in the gig economy, and especially in Europe. Right, and I think over the past few years, we have been getting into a couple of court cases in Europe because the EU government is getting very, very strict and stringent on the gig economy, where they're starting to make us classify gig workers as employees. So, for example, just 2 months ago, I was in Netherlands going for a court hearing about how we have misclassified a lot of our gig economy workers. And I would say we had a good wake-up call around 3 years ago. And since then, we have really worked very hard to progressively, help the gig economy workers. And also to try to convert as many of them into full-time employment while maintaining a profitable business, right? So these are, I would say, challenges that we face on a day-to-day, because definitely, working or having a workforce that is mainly gig workers would result in lower costs, right? But if we are able to automate a lot of the processes, use technology to improve utilization of their time, for example, we can actually, still employ them while remain profitable. So, I would say moving forward, the social element is also something that will be quite important. And I do see technology as a force to basically empower this change on a macro level. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, okay. So I think that as all of you are talking, some other people have actually come in to ask a bit more questions on sustainability. And let me just quickly add that to the list up here. And I think that maybe what our Dean and JC and James have all shared kind of, I think, already answers these questions. Why is it so important? I think Dean and JC and James have told you exactly why it's so important. You can't escape basically nowadays, right? And moving forward, even more so. And similarly, the next question, isn't sustainability very expensive? What is the point if you're wasting so much money for so little gain? I think the idea here is to look at long-term sustainability, long-term gain. And if you are spending money now to understand it better, to get your processes running better, it is money well spent, right?
Yeah. Again, great questions. In addition to what KY has said, remember that businesses, firstly, are global. Nobody operates only in your own little country market. And secondly, every business is subject to regulation. So why is it important? Is it very expensive? In a way, there's no choice, because the governments have been signing on to these global compacts, and they are all now requiring country after country that businesses conform to certain standards. You don't conform, you cannot do business, right? And all of you know Europe leads the way for over a decade in this. So if you are a company here in Singapore or anywhere in Asia exporting to Europe, you have to meet the European green standards, and you have to be able to certify that the components that you're sending to them meet their standards. So whether you like it or not, if you want to stay in business, you have to have all those systems and processes in place, right? The bigger goal, of course, is what has been said by the panel. All this, of course, is being driven by the fact that we have to slow down the increase in the rate of global warming. Because if we exceed 2% in the next 5 to 10 years, it will be catastrophic for the whole world. Which is why I've got actual people on my faculty working on flood risk premiums just in case we don't, quite make it. But at the same time, everybody has to work. We don't really have a choice. And governments all over the world have recognized this. So one of our alumni is with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and she's the Director of Sustainability International. So, the government of Singapore is extremely pragmatic. They are answering this question that you ask in their own policy-making way. So they are balancing between the need to get our companies moving in this direction so that we continue to be able to be part of the global chain and supply chain and business environment, but at the same time, somehow phasing it in so that it does not become overly burdensome on our companies. So, it's a bit like the pandemic, how much restrictions, how loose, how fast. So it's a little bit like that. So this is a journey we're all on. We're very clear that our part in universities is to provide the research, and even more importantly is to provide the environment to develop our students in these future skills. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. And we have one more question that I would like maybe Damien to help answer. And I think this student is now quite in line with our thought that sustainability is something that we all should be familiar with. And so the student is asking, so how can I learn sustainability and technology in a business course in NBS? Is it through specializations? Is it through minors? How do I learn more?
So the first thing that we are doing is to infuse sustainability topics and issues into the appropriate courses. Right. So, for example, as Dean mentioned, right, if you are doing an accounting course, there'll be some part of sustainability reporting, like the triple bottom line, that you will be brought to your awareness and how you would interpret that for your business. And if you so want to specialize, right, there is a major and a minor coming on stream. Right. In upper level courses, for example, strategic management, right, we will talk to you about, we will discuss issues like the carbon credit framework, right, the UN sustainability development goals, for example. Right. So all of these will be infused into the appropriate topics. Right. It is not so much standalone because you cannot. Right. It is part of, just like digital skills, it becomes part of your work, part of your framework. You have to understand it, you have to apply it almost on a daily basis. Right. It is part of work, right, really.
Okay, thank you. Right, so let's move on to, something that is not so curriculum related, but more of the general environment in NBS. How about that? And someone has asked this question. In fact, there are quite a number of questions on this. Okay, one person has asked, is everyone very competitive at NBS? Okay, and someone else has asked, what is the NBS culture? Someone else has asked a very pointed question. Are there snakes in NBS? And in case Dean and Damien, you don't understand what they're talking about, snakes. I don't think the student here means those actual snakes that are wriggling in the grass. Even though actually, if you're really interested in physical snakes wriggling in the grass, NTU, our campus, is one of the most beautiful campuses in the world, and it's been named as such. And it's largely because of the enormous amount of greenery and natural environment that we have. So really, if you wanted to go real snake spotting, you could, I suppose, go into our bits of vegetation. But I think what they mean here is, snakes as in overly competitive students who are only looking out for themselves and trying to succeed at the expense of other students. Okay, so I think that's what they mean. So I think for this, maybe let's start by getting our alumni to tell us their experience here as students in NBS. And maybe let's get our most recent alumni to start the ball rolling. Kai Ning and Bertrand, you are from our class of 2018, so hopefully memories of your time in NBS is still very fresh. So would you like to share with us a bit of your response to these questions?
Yep, I think I can go first. Actually, Prof, to your point about having snakes in the physical snakes. Actually, there's also wild boars if you stay in the hall 8 and 9 area. Yeah, so I think a lot of wildlife. Yeah, but I think back to the question, very interesting questions. I think every school will have some level of competitiveness, right? So after all, we are all based in Singapore, and we are all quite kiasu, as you know. But I think more than competitiveness, I really saw quite a lot of camaraderie, I think, and people are actually quite supportive of each other. And I guess personally, it also depends on the type of environment and the social groups that you join. So for example, and everything is deliberate, right? You can deliberately choose to join a certain environment that are, more friendly or more collaborative. And this environment that you deliberately create around you influences the type of person that you become, and also influences the type of pressure or non-pressure that you feel. Yeah, so I think pretty much the general vibe I felt from MBS back in those days was that everyone's really smart. They're very driven as well, but they also know how to relax and have fun. So I realized that my friends are very not extreme, but they're kind of both sides. They study really hard, they mug very hard late into the night. But then they also go for late night suppers, and then we always have a lot of fun. So back then in the younger days, we'll go supper, we sometimes go clubbing. Then we have mugging dates as well. We went to the gym together. We had barbecues, we planned chalets together, and yeah, I think it was all a lot of fun. So I think pretty much what I felt is that, I think in every environment there will be so-called snakes, right? I mean, you can't really stop snakes from getting in anywhere, but I think it really choose your friends wisely, and I don't think it's MBS agnostic or it's just basically who you want to be and the kind of friends that you want to, embrace. Yeah, but what do you think?
Yeah, so I think what Kai Ning shared is also probably what many of our peers and myself experienced as well. Of course, I think it is no doubt that everyone wants to excel, right? And always one point of a comparison among our peers is a GPA, always the top of the topic. And this is something that we'll naturally be involved in, regardless, whether you're an NBS or whatsoever. But I think one thing to really take note is that the environment we are placed in, especially I think in university, is that it is very collaborative as well. And even a heavy percentage, of our grades are also contingent on, project work being one of the core components of how we're being assessed for each of our modules as well. So I think one key element to also take note of is building good relationships with peers and people in university so that, we can get support from one another. And one of the good ways, of course, in doing so is joining some of the freshman camps. And this is where you really get the opportunity to meet new people, expand the network, and also find like-minded peers, which you can kind of rely upon time and time again throughout university, whether it's for your academics or even it's for your own personal and professional wellness. Yeah, so even for myself personally, I did, get the opportunity to join multiple camps. Not just the MBS one, but also for the hall one, and also for myself, the USP camp, since I was part of the University Scholars Program back then, which advocated multidisciplinary education. Yeah, so I think it's really crucial, all in all, to understand that grades are really not everything. And in NTU, you will have the diverse range of opportunities to explore your interests, try new things, and also to experiment and fail and not be afraid to do so. Yeah.
Okay, thanks Kai Ning, thanks Bertrand. What about JC, James, do you remember what it was like? Was it too long ago?
It's been a while. But to be honest, for me, MBS days it really went past quite quickly. 3 years was really very short in retrospective, right? I think given that we're in a school environment and there's still bell curve and we're comparing with one another, it's definitely competitive, right? But I think the beauty of it here is that it is not cutthroat competitive where people are scheming against one another, trying to pull one another down so that you can be better, but it's really trying to strategize together on how can we all do good together, how can we all achieve that grade so that we can all go exchange together. We've been planning that since year 1 to year 2, and I think it's a very, I stay in hall, right? So we always call it like the very kampong spirit. So it's really trying to help out with one another. I remember, and this help out is not at the peers level. I remember when we first joined, seniors was passing us like, I don't know, accounting Bibles, OB Bibles. Like this is just like compiled answers that can help you score, which has like all the tips and tricks inside. And this is passed down like generation, like one batch to another. And you, from there you can see how collaborative it is. Like, nobody wants to see each other suffer. I think that's the bottom line, right? Everyone wants to have fun. Everyone just wants to do all the fun horse CCA stuff and try to study in the smartest way possible so that you can get done and dusted with the exams and can go to the dream exchange places, have fun with your friends. I think that's the kind of experience I have in school.
Well, I think for me, one thing that really stood out in my time in NBS was probably the relationships that I forged with my peers. And you know, I actually just thought about this, but my closest friends right now are people that I met in college and not actually people that I met at work. Why so? It's because back then, you know, we had nothing. And you know, the friendships forged at that time were really genuine because we really saw the good in each other. And, you know, we basically put in the effort to nurture the relationship to the present stage, right? So, for example, just last week, I met 2 different groups of friends from my NBS days. And no, I did not meet them in camps, but I actually met them in class. I remember it was a accounting class. So one of them is actually a professor in SMU right now, actuarial professor. So really great guy, one of my best friends. And I think looking back, right, how we first started out, it was actually competitive. I remember we were challenging each other in a FM, so they call it financial management class, if I'm not wrong. And we were challenging each other in the quiz. We were trying to outdo each other, right? But it was through such, you know, competition that we started to just hang out and started to exchange notes. And then from exchanging notes, we started talking about philosophy one day. And I think that's when, you know, magic happened because we kind of realized that our values were quite similar. We valued hard work, we valued progress, we valued achievement. And he, you know, ended up becoming the valedictorian for my batch, but I was just around. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, to this day, we're still very close friends, and we're still pushing each other on very hard. I mean, not in terms of academics, but more in terms of what we're doing to impact the world, what were we doing to, you know, drive changes around us. And we hold each other accountable for the values that we shared in the past, right? So this was very important. So yeah, I do think the relationships that I forged in NTU were very genuine, very real. And, you know, coming from a JC that was a bit more competitive, a lot more competitive actually. So I was from RJC. It was quite different in terms of, you know, the kind of friendships that I forged. I think it was definitely a lot more real in NBS. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for all that you have contributed. And I think that really speaks so well of the culture that we have here in NBS. And I think it's something that we're really proud of. And I think, you know, Damien, myself, and Prof. So we have been here really a long time. And that is, I think, one constant that we see and something that we're really proud of. Yeah.
I think the commonality here is community. NBS develops a community based on values, based on relationships, and I like that, right? It is, and it's something that JC mentioned, right? passing down the Bibles and stuff like that. It has now gone beyond that, JC. Right? We now have a mentoring society, a student initiative, right, that does not only pass down Bibles, but also, help juniors. So the seniors will come together to help the juniors socialize into NBS, to develop this greater spirit of community that, all of us have been talking about. Right? So that's one. Right? The other, I think, comes from our value of service. Right? Both of you are in the area of helping, of servicing other people, making other people's life better. So service has been in our DNA for a long time. And now we have something called a peer tutoring scheme, where we have student volunteering, right, to help other students all out of curriculum. Almost like an extra class, right, coming in. So you can't do that without this community spirit, without this, with the competition, with the extreme competition. You can't do this, right? So that's an initiative. Taking a step further, we have staff and we have alumni coming together to pitch in to develop the NBS Student Aid Fund. Right? And this fund helps students who need some temporary or some longer-term financial support just to tide them over. So, as you can see, we have students coming together to help other students. We have faculty, you have alumni coming together. Right? You can't do this if you were totally competitive. Right? And going back to what Kai-Ning and Bertrand said, the freshman orientation camps, these are all student-led initiatives, really. Right? So, it's service and it's community that drives us.
Okay, yeah. And I think, Linda, maybe, you want to tell us a bit of, not just in terms of financial aid, our alumni come back also in terms of mentoring, right?
Yes, so we have NBS mentoring programs where our alumni mentor our students. And if you come in as a fresh person, you can actually get to be a mentee and get mentored by one of our alumni. For this program, we also have very younger alumni, the likes of Kai-Ning and Bertrand, who are about working 5 years, and they're very relational. They just kind of graduated and they will work with you as a freshman coming in to learn how to navigate, many issues, especially like specialization, choosing of specialization, the type of careers that you can plan for or aspire for. And at the same time, because we have our internships at year 1, they will also be a very good guide and help, to help you to think about what's out there in the careers. And when you go into the year 2 and year 3, you will also have a choice to be a mentee, and you can also pick your mentor to work with you for 3 months to 6 months. So this is really in the spirit of our NBS community, spirit and alumni giving back, as well as understanding and being very empathetic to our students who join us and fresh men coming in. This really speaks about the community. And when we had a chance to look for mentors, we found that there were so many mentors and alumni out there who were volunteering and giving their time to our students. We have very good reviews for our mentees. Currently, our first-year students who have gone through 2 rounds of the programs already, they found that it was really very useful for them, very beneficial, and there was something that you cannot find in the textbooks, but you could hear from somebody else, who's just walked the path before, like you.
Thanks, Linda. Yes, and actually I'm very glad that these questions on the NBS culture came up, and I kind of anticipated they would anyway, because these are common questions that are often asked at all events. So actually what I have is I have a video that I wanted to show you, and I think that this video really speaks to the kinds of thoughts that students have, when you're coming into university, from JC, from poly, and you have uncertainties, you have apprehensions about the transition from poly and JC. You realize that it's a bit different, right, in university. So you might have all these uncertainties as to how am I going to fit in, how am I going to cope, and so on. And this video that we have is about a student, Jia Hui, and Jia Hui just did her final exams just last week and so. So she's looking forward to going on to do a master's actually in Canada. And Jia Hui coming into university, she had all these concerns as well, and perhaps for her, understandably, she had certain challenges as well that made her even more, concerned about the transition and the fitting in process. And in this video, she speaks about the community that she found in NBS that helped her with the network of support, with the friendships that she found, how it helped her actually to overcome these challenges. Okay, so can we play the video on Jia Hui? Thank you.
I have never let what others think about me stop me from achieving my goals and living my own life. But the truth is, it has. When a time came for me to think about university, I had many worries on my mind. Will I be able to fit in? Will anyone like me for me? Or will I be able to cope with the work, the tests, the exams, as well as the pressure? I've always tried my best to be confident. I had to, but this was something new and uncertain. I was worried about what would come next, and I didn't know if I was ready for it. The first time I came to MBS, it was the open house. Things felt different. The people that I met that day, students, staff, and teachers, they were approachable, friendly, and supportive. This was important to me. What amazed me was how far the school went out of its way to make sure I was respected and welcomed. They made sure that I was able to attend my classes so that I could focus on my studies, and ensure that I was always included in social events organized by school. Over the past 3 years, with the support that I'm so lucky to have from my friends, my professors, and the school, I am able to become the best version of myself.
I think 3 words to describe Jia Hui. She's very optimistic, she's very bright, and she's also very hardworking. She brings a lot of joy to all her friends and is always very generous with her kindness.
Jia Hui attended my assurance and auditing course 2 years ago. I find that Jia Hui is a very determined and confident young lady, and she puts in a lot into the course. With strong support from her family, the staff and lecturers at the university, and all her wonderful classmates, I'm glad that Jia Hui will be able to complete her degree program with MBS.
I want to give back. People have been giving me so much support, and I want to do something to support others in return, like offering free financial advice and services to the needy. I want to take the blessings that I have to bless other people. You know, I came to MBS looking for a university education. Instead, I found a community that gave me unconditional support, a school that saw my abilities instead of my disability, an environment that not only empowered me to step up, but also embraced me for who I am.
Okay, I hope that you have found that video to be inspiring and encouraging. And I think that what is also inspiring is, as Dean has mentioned just now, the attitude of our graduates and our students. They are not just supportive of each other, but they also dream big, and they dream of making impact in the world. They are change makers, to use the Dean's words. And I think that JC and James right here really show you what it means to make an impact in the world. And also, aside from that, I have not had the chance to boast also about Kai-Ling and Bertrand's impact in the world. And they are also great examples of how you don't have to wait until you are a graduate before you start making an impact. They started making an impact with their social enterprise, career socials, even when they were undergrads at NBS. So maybe Kai-Ning, Bertrand, would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, we'll be happy to. I think Bert and I prepared like one slide just to show you some pictures so that it's more engaging. Yeah, so both of us, together with some friends, we started Career Socials in 2017. So that was when we were in our final year of university. And Career Socials is really a social enterprise to help job seekers in Singapore to maximize their career potential. And today we have impacted over 5,000 plus people through personal branding services, workshops, as well as digital courses. And I think it really all started because we wanted to make an impact on less privileged population in Singapore and help to level the playing field for those who started off with less. So I think some backstory is that, both of us started off in HR, right? And we did a couple of HR internships. And I think one of the internships that I went for, I was part of the external recruitment company. And then I realized that, there's so much inequality out there. And, not everybody really has the opportunity to land themselves a job that they find suitable for them or find some kind of career progression. And I think it made me like quite sad. Like, why is it that some people do not get the opportunity to maximize their life? And that's why we started out Career Socials, even though we were still back in university. And I think we started out by thinking, what kind of skills did we have, as students that we can still contribute to the society, right? And we realized that, hey, since we are in HR, we are really quite well poised to help people in their careers through their interview skills, through resume skills, as well as, self-discovery and coaching. And that's why we started. And I'm very happy to say that this May, we actually are celebrating our 5th year anniversary. And, all these years, we have partnered up with universities, even including NTU. We have partnered up with social organizations like MSF, Ministry of Social and Family Development, MWS, Shine Children and Youth Services, and many more to help their underprivileged youth as well to build career skills and land themselves jobs that can maximize their potential. Yeah, so I think this really, creating this social enterprise as students really gave us a boost of confidence that, even though we were still students, we can still make a tangible impact on society. And I think even until today, it has really been a very strong source of purpose for us. And very unsurprisingly, it's also been really beneficial for our careers. So I think you guys might know that Bert and I are also working in tandem with running this social enterprise. And I think our employers are we feel that we have a lot of complementary skills. And also, this also makes us very fascinating candidates or employees with an edge, because we are kind of like, we can stand out from like others in terms of, this unique capability or unique experience that we have. Yeah, because we are always learning new skills and it really keeps us thinking and improving. Yeah, but do you want to share about like, how we started our social entrepreneurship journey in university?
Yeah, thanks, Kai-Ning. I think what you shared really encapsulates, what we have done at Career Socials and what we really want to do in terms of the impact. But one very important thing to also share is that, we started Career Socials, not really true by chance as well, but for also what Kai-Ning shared, another thing that NTU and MBS provides that great support is the opportunities where we get to expose ourselves to that, diverse environment and abilities to actually try out and experiment our ideas. So actually, one of the things that we came to know about through, one of the many, email announcements that NTU does time and time is the social business creation competition back in 2016. In fact, it was a global competition which we kind of submitted our proposal for business idea. And actually, we got through the preliminary round. And we also got to fly over to Canada, actually, which was my area of, my point of exchange semester. And through there, we actually got to pitch our idea and to also meet many different people from different cultures beyond just, pitching our business idea as well. In addition to that, I think returning back, from Canada back to Singapore, another initiative that really supported us in our journey in terms of kickstarting Career Socials was the Collab for Good Fund by NTU, one of the fund by NTU ETIF. And this was actually where we got awarded, a 10K grant to actually start our social enterprise. And in fact, this really gave us, that leg in terms of helping us for the first financial capital that we need to really kickstart things. And we also use this to really help serve the target beneficiaries that we really want to impact. Yeah, so all in all, I think the diverse opportunities and environment through MBS and NTU that's provided us has really helped us in terms of kickstarting this journey. And I think it has also made it easier for us as students back then when we tried this out in our final year. Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much, Bertrand and Kaiding. Okay, so I think that there's actually a lot more that we could share and boast about our alumni, right, Chris? But I think that in the interest of time, we shall cut the boasting to a minimum here and move on to talk about, okay, I see a lot of questions here actually on CCA. Can I answer that a bit later, because I did prepare a collage of pictures and one video to show all of you the exciting things you can get up to when you're in NBS. So let's put that aside for a while and maybe talk about internships, okay? Many people have asked questions about internships, and I think one concern that is encapsulated by this question that I found, there were others that I saw which I can't find now. It's lost somewhere in the midst of all the questions. But essentially, it is encapsulated by this question which says, wow, your program is only 3 years. Do I have time for internships? And what if I can't get an internship? Because I think this student probably realizes that internship for NBS students, it's a graduation requirement. And someone else also has asked, what type of internships can I do? Okay, and someone has actually asked this question, can I graduate if I don't do an internship? So let me volunteer to answer the very last question. The answer is no. You have to do an internship. But as your mother has told you time and again, it's good for you. That's why you say you must do an internship. But don't worry, Linda will tell you all about the kind of internships that we have for you and how she and the team will work very hard to surely let you find an internship. Okay, Linda.
Yeah, so as you know, you have to do your internship in year 1, and you will get your credits after your year 1 to do your internship. The reason why you're doing your internship at year 1, and we promise to get you an internship, is because you get to experience, you get to explore, and you get exposure to the working world out there. You get to also understand the type of jobs that you may like in the future and may not like. And that helps you to also think about your career paths and make good career decisions as well. So the question is, what type of internships do you have? We work with many employers, hundreds, thousands. In fact, most of them locally, and we also work with employers overseas as well. Well, so for our first year students, we have, many of our students actually gone out on internships already. Just a few days ago. So they started on the 9th of May. They actually have a pre-internship briefing before they go. And because they have also taken a course called Careers Development and Entrepreneurship Development in the Future World, we actually prime our students well for their internships in terms of their contributions, in terms of their value, that they can bring to the company, as well as, talk about communication, work communication, corporate behavior, work ethics. So we almost guarantee that you are primed well for your internship at first year. So not to worry, if you're coming in as a freshman and you've never worked before, right, you have come to the right place. Because I believe we should be the only university, perhaps in the entire world, that guarantees our first year student an internship after year 1. And that is something that is almost a very difficult task, but we believe that this internship is really important for your education experience and your career journey at the Nanyang Business School.
So, and in addition to Linda's explanation about the first year, that's not the only internship available. We also offer you the choice, if you so wish, and part of your career goals, to undertake a work-study degree program. That is a internship that is about a semester long, about 25 weeks to 35 weeks, right? And it is typically taken after you have some skills in your specialization. It could be finance, banking and finance. It could be risk analytics, business analytics, whatever, right? Yeah, you go out with Linda's team will help you be placed in a particular role that it fits your specialization. You apply skills that you've learned in school at the workplace, right, for the duration. And then along the way, you do some exercises in terms of your reflection journals and stuff like that. And through that experience, we find that many of our students, right, get their first job offer, right, during the internship, that semester-long internship. And that is about 6 to 8 months before they graduate, right? So that's something that you might want to think about in terms, right, of that. If you are in the double degree program, which is 4 years long, you have another opportunity at some later point to do another internship. So it is built into the curriculum, right? And we offer you that choice with Linda's team going out. Right?
Okay, thanks. And so, so you see, no need to worry about internships. We will get you one. Okay. And let me now move on to something that is, I think, close to not just the students' hearts, but all our hearts, which is the idea of travel. Now I've lost it somewhere. Okay, someone asked a question about, can I travel? Can I do foreign exchange and so on? Yeah, so the question now is, can we? Well, the question that when the students asked us last time, it would have been no because of, COVID. But now you're lucky because now you're coming in at the time where the travel restrictions have been eased. So for you, maybe, Damien, do you want to tell them about the overseas exposure programs that we have?
So basically, we have two kinds of exchange programs, the short-term and long-term. Right? The short-term ones are usually covered during the summer period and during the winter period in December. So these are about 4 weeks long. Right? You go out to one of, I think, 350 universities we have partnerships with, right, in over 40 countries. Right? And then we have the longer semester, where you spend one whole semester overseas, right, in a partner university. Right? And I think what's his name, Bertrand mentioned it was also part of his where he did his competitions and all that. So students pack in 2 or 3 things along that way, right? And I think JC too found his ideas for 3 Dot while he was on internship, he was on exchange in Germany. JC, you want to tell us your experience about that?
Yeah, sure. So I was pretty fortunate to be in Germany for my exchange. I think it was summer exchange. So it was from July all the way to December. So I had 1 semester there. And I think the most precious and important thing there was really the exposure that you get. I think in European countries, right, like Germany itself, they are very huge on sustainability, and I think that's also where the source of inspiration from our current company comes from. At least for me, my co-founder has different stories. So, yeah. So I think the things that I get to see there in the European countries where they are actively promoting for not wasting food, to kind of salvage whatever is nearing expiry, and to sell it to the people. I think that was where that's what I wanted to bring back to Singapore, because it is something that I see that in Singapore and in Southeast Asia is something still not really available, and I think it's a very good initiative to have it here. But apart from the sustainability part of things, I think speaking to the students there, getting to mingle with them and understand their thought process is very different. In European, I feel that they are a lot more entrepreneurial, a lot more driven, and they kind of like have a dream of what they want to do even when they were students. Different kind of climate and experience in Singapore if you're talking to students here. So I think that also shaped my mindset and also give me the push to why entrepreneurship, right? Because it starts to make me think a lot more about my own life and my dream that I want to do. So all in all, very, very good experience. And at the same time, you get to travel also. So yeah, I'll encourage you guys to come here and then hopefully go for exchange. I think it will be mind-blowing.
Yeah, so thank you, JC. So, but that's not the only internships. That's not the only exchange we have. And I think I'll hand you over to Linda to talk about the internships that we allow overseas as well.
Yes, so we have internships abroad as well. And as Kit Wai has mentioned, you know, the topic is travel, right? I'm really glad that borders have opened. We actually have students that have gone to Cambodia just a few days ago as well to start their first internships. Students have gone to the USA as well as Israel, I think Berlin, and that's for the Overseas Entrepreneurship Program, where they will be overseas for 6 months working for a startup or for a company. In NBS, we have sent students to far corners of the world, including Africa, Tanzania, Ghana, Zimbabwe, and our students have also gone to Chile, Santiago for internships. They've also, nearer home, gone to Hong Kong, Thailand, Korea, Indonesia, Japan, very popular places, as well as Europe. And we are also working with many companies now who are opening up their borders, opening up their opportunities for students to even get internships in Australia and Amsterdam as well. So with these borders opening, I'm really, really happy and actually very excited because of, there's so much pent up want, right, for giving our students that overseas internship opportunity. And when you're overseas, on an internship, I think it has its merits. Of course, exchange has its merits as well. One of the things you learn really is you get thrown into a different corporate culture in a different environment. And that's really, really very beneficial to our students. And we have very adventurous NBS students. Many of them are asking me for opportunities as well. So, join us and you'll have your opportunities for sure.
Okay, I think that early on when I was talking to Kai Ning, right, when we were doing a trial Zoom just to make sure the connections work and all that, she mentioned to me she also went on exchange. Is that right, Kai Ning? You want to just say a few words on that?
Sure. So I think for me, I went to Amsterdam for my university exchange. And, I actually went with 8 MBS so-called peers. So at first I didn't know them, but, throughout the many months that we spent together, they really gradually became like one of my best friends. I think they are one of my biggest takeaways from MBS. So I think in Amsterdam, it's very interesting because, it was my first time studying in a foreign environment. So I really made so many foreign friends. I joined their parties. I also tried to navigate a non-English speaking environment. So it was a little bit challenging. Of course, in the universities, you speak English, but, their predominant language is Dutch. So they don't really prefer speaking English. So it's a little bit challenging getting around, but I think it was really a fascinating and eye-opening experience for me. And together with my 8 other friends, right? So we traveled together, we cooked together in the same dormitory, and we became really close. And I think, and I think overall, it's just a lot of friendships made and a lot of eye-opening experiences. Until now, right, I'm still connected with my foreign friends on Instagram. And I think it's really pretty cool because right now I see them getting married, I see them starting their careers, and it's so amazing how long and how far we have come.
Okay, great to hear that. And I wonder if, your foreign exchange experience, did it make you and Bert more comfortable with the idea of living abroad, working abroad?
So I think for some context, so for those who don't know, so actually I think we forgot to share just now, but Bert and I are actually a couple. We have actually found each other in MBS during HR camp. So that's just some context, and we've been together for around 5 or 6 years already. So anyway, long story short, so 3 years into my career, Bert told me that he got posted to Korea for work. So actually previously, Bert got posted to France for 1 year already, and I really didn't enjoy the LDR. So when he told me the Korea opportunity came, I was like, okay, I must go with Bert. So I tried to apply for an internal rotation in my company, Unilever. So my boss was really kind, and she really found me an opportunity to work in Unilever Korea. So that's where I'm based now with Bert. And yeah, so I think the overseas experience really, my overseas internship really helped me because I felt like, Amsterdam was actually a lot more different than Korea already because, it's like a totally new environment. Korea is still like Asian food and all that. So actually a little bit more similar to Singapore, I must say. And yeah, I think having as much exposure as possible is really important. And I think Bert and I also took a cultural intelligence module under Prof. Catherine. I think that was really insightful as well because she taught us how to be curious, how to ask good questions to people. Don't shy away from people about asking about their culture. And I think that really benefited me and Bert in our journey. Not sure if Bert has anything to add as well.
Yeah, I think in fact we also kind of prepared a series of pictures as well to share with the group. I just want to put it out here as well. I think definitely, my first exchange semester in Canada really opened my eyes to the different cultures and being immersed in the environment where perhaps sometimes you probably may be the minority, right? In the particular country or population you studied or lived in. So I think being comfortable in uncomfortable situations was really something that I picked up, and that really helped not just in my current, job working in Korea, but also in my previous stint where I was also posted to France, a very different culture as well. And I think like what Kai-Ning shared, one of the modules we took up on cultural intelligence really helped us in terms of navigating our lives and also interacting with the people locally, which helped open more doors of opportunities in terms of the network we created, with the people that we socialize with. Yep.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, I've just been given the signal that, all right, we are actually at 3:30, but let me just take one more question. Okay, let me just hold you back for about 5 minutes and deal with this question that I promised. I feel like I must keep my promise, which is on the CCAs in NBS. And again, there are actually a lot of questions on this, but right now I can only find one. But the other, okay, here's another one that says, will I have time to do anything other than study since it's a 3-year program? Since it's 3 years with rigorous curriculum, will I have time to engage in CCAs and so on? So maybe very quickly, I can just ask alumni, what was the experience like in NBS? Did you have time to take part in stuff?
Hello. Yeah. So maybe I can share a bit more about what I did. Like I mentioned, I was not the best student. So I spent a lot of my time actually working with startups when I was in NTU, in NBS specifically. So I remember in year 1, I was working with some professor's startup. And then in year 2, I was also working on like another person's startup. So it was through these experiences that I gained a lot of a lot of work experience and life experiences too. And because the second startup that I worked with was actually a foreign founder, so it really helped in terms of cultural intelligence too. If you look at where I am right now, companies headquartered in Germany, and I'm like the only Singaporean/Asian in the C-suite. So a lot of the experiences that I had, extracurricular stuff actually, during NBS really helped me a lot. And this was only possible because of the flexibility with the modules back then. You could actually, you could overload if you want, or you could underload if you want, and that was really up to you. And pretty much the school would allow you to adjust the modules that you want to take on a semester. In each semester, you get to adjust the modules based on your ability to cope with the workload. So I think there's definitely a lot of time for you to explore extracurricular stuff in this case. Yeah.
I think for myself, I think I did quite a fair bit of stuff. CCAs, school, like hall CCAs, I was in cheerleading, I was in jam band, I was running like one of the committees, I was also running events in hall, but at the same time, back then I was also exploring another startup of mine. Didn't work out, of course, but yeah, I was doing like my own startup, and I was also picking up programming as a hobby back then. And and I also busk on the street. So I was doing a bunch of stuff apart from studies. So I think the time is yours. How you want to spend it is up to how you want to decide, right? Some have a very chill life in university. Some people just want to maximize it. There's definitely time. It's just how much what you want to do and what you want to do with it.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. All right, and as I promised, I have some photos to show you. Maybe we can have a look at the collage of photos. Yep, thank you so much. All right, so the photos are a bit small. You need to squint at your laptop or computer monitor maybe. So let me just quickly walk you through it. On the top left-hand corner is our alumni Abbas. He's very interesting also because while he was with us, he took a year off to do a social enterprise. And then after he graduated, he started a fintech company which did so well that he's just very recently sold it off. And this is him receiving an alumni award. And in the middle, we have our team happiness, which is our team of students who took part in the case competition by Lazada. And out of 100 over teams, they were one of the 5 finalists. And the beauty about being one of the 5 finalists is that you then get to actually go live with your idea. So Lazada trusts them enough to let them go live actually on their platform with your idea. And later on, after this, I'm going to show you a very short video about the experience that Team Happiness has had in this case competition. Of course, a dramatization, but that's really the experience. And on the top right-hand corner is one of our orientation groups called Rush. And these are the seniors getting together to plan the orientation program for the incoming freshmen. And let me tell you, our seniors are really dedicated when it comes to planning the program, orientation programs for their juniors. In fact, after this event at 6 o'clock, we are meeting all the orientation chairs to have a discussion with them. So you see, they get no rest. So on the bottom left-hand corner is one of our recent sustainability CSR projects, which is we went kayaking at the Jurong Lake to pick up rubbish. And when I say we, I really mean we, because if you squint, the shortest person there in maroon in the picture is me, okay? All wrapped up because it was really, really hot. So we went kayaking to pick up rubbish, and there was so much rubbish. Okay, that's quite sad to see. So if you have time, do go and volunteer for such things. In the middle, bottom, is our appreciation event for our peer tutors in our peer tutoring scheme that Prof. Damien spoke about just now. And so this was just to say thank you to them and really show our appreciation for the help and support that they've given their peers. And on the bottom right-hand corner is a collage of photos of our students doing a CSR project, which was distributing food to the needy. Okay, so that's just roughly a few of the things that we've been up to in the last couple of months. All right, now, very quickly moving on to our Team Happiness video. Okay, I hope you'll find it interesting. Can we have the video, please?
Do you think we can pull this off?
I know, right? How did we end up here?
What do you mean how? Don't you remember?
Oh, yeah.
This is Joseph, the brainy one. He can really talk a lot. That's Colleen, really down to earth. No airs and no nonsense. And this is me, Shu Sing. As you can see, I'm the fun one. Life in school was normal. We went to classes, did our assignments, hung out with friends.
To be honest, we're ready for something more, something that will challenge us and excite us.
And that's when... Dun, dun, dun! Ooh! Shall we give it a try? It was a competition organized by Lazada, open to all schools, to come up with a unique e-commerce marketing idea.
You guys should take part.
It was a perfect opportunity to challenge ourselves. If we put our heads together, we can come up with something amazing for sure.
Our professors also gave us a lot of encouragement, so we decided to give it a shot and started work on it right away. I used what I learned in business analytics to support decision-making and recommendations.
My job was to think outside the box, to expand Joseph's thoughts into ideas and solutions.
Meanwhile, I made sure we stuck to our timeline, keeping us on track.
It was all very exciting, very different from our usual routine.
I think we all felt like we had a new purpose. But then the truth hit us. Time was an issue for us. The conversation was dragging out and we were all exhausted.
We also had to quickly pick up new knowledge on the fly about the e-commerce industry, as well as UI/UX design basics.
At one point, we were so ready to give up.
Thankfully, we had really supportive professors who motivated us.
So how can I help you?
We need help! And guided us with their knowledge. That was what we needed for the final stretch. It was a very tough challenge, but I'm glad we did it. We learned that we have the courage inside us to just go for it, no matter what.
We learned to trust each other. Even though we have our weaknesses, we can rely on each other's strengths.
Most importantly, we learned that winning isn't the goal. Taking part is. And this is what life in MBS is like.
Okay, so as you can see, what James and Jia Chai said to you is very true. Really, you have the time to do a lot of stuff. The question is, do you want to? So get involved in exciting stuff at NBS, okay? Now, let me end the plenary session now. I know we've run a bit over time, but still there's so many questions I haven't managed to answer, haven't managed to discuss, but don't worry about that. Follow our social media. We will post a list of questions and answers to that, okay? So if you want to see your question answered, even though we didn't manage to talk about it right now, follow our social media, okay? Now let's go on to our Zoom breakout rooms. As I said earlier, the Zoom breakout rooms are organized based on the different programs and specializations, and they're structured so that you can move freely in and out. So just drift in and out of them and ask questions, interact with the staff, the faculty, the alumni, as well as our current students, okay? So go on, move on to our breakout rooms. I'll see you around. Bye. And thank you also to our panelists. Thank you so much for joining us today, okay, even all the way from South Korea.